Reflux refers to the upward movement of vapor along with condensation of vapor and then the downward movement of that condensate. So we have a condenser with water flowing in at the bottom and coming out of the top, which keeps the condenser cool. At the bottom, we have a round bottom flask attached onto the condenser with the assistance from vacuum grease to make a snug fit. We need to make sure that flask joint is clean first before we apply the vacuum grease and make a snug fit. The clamp holding the round bottom flask is positioned to have a tight fit on the flask, but the clamp on the condenser is made to be loose to let gravity work and allow a proper seal between the condenser and the flask. If the clamp was tight, it might angle the condenser and therefore leak out the gas, which we do not want. That clamp on the condenser is 2/3 up the way. The round bottom flask is placed just above the ceramic pad, which is above the flame from the Bunsen burner, but not touching the flame so that there is a space. Now we look at the setup connected to the top of the condenser. We have a vacuum takeoff adapter, which was greased and inserted into the top of the condenser. This vacuum takeoff adapter has a stopper which was also greased and then inserted into the upper joint of the vacuum takeoff adapter. And we have also secured the stopper with parafilm wrapped around it, but you can also use a rubber band if you want. This seal ensures no gas can leave. Next, we attach rubber tubing to the side joint of the vacuum takeoff adapter and connect it to a 60-degree glass funnel. This funnel is inverted in a solution of sodium or potassium hydroxide in a beaker. This is the trap used for neutralization. A strong acid may be produced as gas, but it could be harmful to humans, so we have to set it up to flow out of the condenser and through the tubing to the strong base to be neutralized, and therefore producing a safer product. The roles could be switched where the beaker contains a strong acid for when a gaseous strong base is made. The funnel needs to be only submerged 1 to 2 millimeters in, otherwise no gas could bubble and leave the liquid. Now the setup is done and we can start our refluxing. We just have to put our solution in the round bottom flask with boiling chips and then light the Bunsen burner.
So to answer the question as to where did the hydrogen bromide come from, we started with sodium bromide, which is a solid, and we dissolved it in water and alcohol so that the sodium and bromide ions were made. Next, we added cold concentrated sulfuric acid to our solution in the round bottom flask, and we kept this all on ice so that the enormous amount of HBr is not made and would not harm us. So the hydrogen bromide gas came from the sulfuric acid reacting with the bromide ions to produce hydrogen bromide, and this was all collected in the hydrogen bromide trap. So to prevent the inhalation of hydrogen bromide, the first step was to not let it get out of the system. We ensured that the tube had a tight seal so that the HBr could only leave through the tubing and would get neutralized. So we have the HBr gas in the vacuum takeoff adapter and rubber tubing. There could also be some in the condenser. So we take the vacuum takeoff adapter out of the condenser and bring the tubing and funnel all at once in one process to the fume hood for the gas to exit and be taken out of our environment through ventilation. We just need to make sure that we watch when and where we inhale while disconnecting the setup.